And away we go.
Coming into view on the left hand are railroad shops and restoration facilities. Then the buildings coming into view on the left, all the work takes place to restore and then to maintain our antique railroad equipment. The oldest car we have goes all the way back to 1875, and the steam engine in the train today goes back to 1920. If you look in the railroad yard, you'll see some of our other equipment, most notably that little yellow engine. That's a gas-burning engine, and we use the little to move things around the yard. It's what you call the yard door. You may have noticed that the railroad tracks we're using in our train are a little bit smaller than the commercial railroads that you see every day. That's because the Huckleberry Railroad is an obsolete style of railroad called the narrow gauge. Although common in the 1800s, these smaller, narrower train tracks are no longer in use anywhere but museums and a few train rides like ours. Most of these trains were located in the South and were destroyed during the Civil War. First railroads built by the timber industry were narrow gauge. Lumber and lumbering was the state's first big business, and it was said that so much pine was harvested from Michigan forests in the 1800s that it covered the entire state with a layer of pine boards. Coming up on the left, you'll see Huckleberry Railroad number 4 on display with 2 logging cars typical of the early timber trains in Michigan. On the left, we're now passing through the friendly community of Genesee, Michigan. More than a century ago, this town was known as Genesee, and it was one of the 5 original stops of the railroad back in the 1800s. Back in the 1800s, Genesee was the first stop, and the train would continue on to Rogerville, Flint, Otter Lake, Mott Lake, and Astoria. On the right-hand side, we're now getting a great view of beautiful Mott Lake. Mott Lake is at the center of the Genesee recreation area. It has a public beach, a public boat launch, and it's the home of our paddle wheeler, the Genesee Belle. Mott Lake is out there on the right for all the rest of our outbound journey today.
here. And Villa Bells.
on either side of the train. Big bridge we go. As they cross the bridge, the train enters another Genesee recreation area called the Everett Cummings Center. Here at the Cummings Center, we go around a big circle of track that will turn us around for the trip back to Crossroads Village. Of course, it's not very historical to just go around in a big circle. Historically, the train would have continued here to Rogerville, Otisville, Otter Lake, North Lake, and Fostoria. If you look carefully on the left, you'll see a line of telephone poles heading off to the northeast. And that's the direction that the original track goes. If you look very carefully on the other side of the road, on the left-hand side, You can even see a little rusted rail still sticking out of the side of the road. A lot of the track is still out there. Our speed today is right around 10 miles an hour. Not very fast by modern standards, but you know, we're still going faster than this train probably ever went in the 1890s. We know that in 1890, that 22-mile trip from Flint out to Clastoria usually took about 4 hours. That's 4 hours to go 22 miles. How slow was it? Well, according to local folklore, passengers on trains on this branch line would actually hop off the first car of the train. The wild huckleberries that grew along the side of the track to snack on and still have no trouble at all taking their berries and jumping back on the last car before it passed them by. It was that slow. And that's why to this day it's still affectionately known as the Huckleberry Railroad. Out on the left is the buildings and bleachers and barns of the Cummings Center proper. Here at the Cummings Center, Genesee County Parks is host to basically major outdoor events, concerts, rodeos, anything outdoors. Today was the mud crawl, and all of these people showed up to crawl through the mud and go through a muddy obstacle course today. That's on the left, is the mud crawl. And on the right, we'll be getting a great view of the whole train as it wraps around the curve.
There you go, Andy. We got a mud crawl. Wave at them. They're waving. Oh, they're doing it.
Now we've turned our train completely around and back across the big bridge we go as we head back to Crossroads Village and the Music Festival.
Genesee again. This is the Huckleberry Railroad, not the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum.
As we come back into Crossroads, out on the right is the old Davison Depot. Our departure point and also our destination, the Davison Depot, was built in 1900 and originally sat along the main line of the Grand Trunk Western Railroad between Davison and Port Huron. Davison Depot was moved here in 1974 as Crossroads Village was put together for the U.S. Bicentennial in 1976, the 200th anniversary of the United States. That was where this all started. It was originally called the Bicentennial Project. On the left, that three-story building is the Cornwell Opera House complex. Home to the cafe, the general store, most of that building is a theater. And today, in the Opera House, we invite you to enjoy the comedy stylings of ventriloquist and funny man Richard Paul. Richard Paul, 2 more shows today at 3 and 4 o'clock at the Opera House Theater. Now, once again, we have to turn the train completely around as we come to the far western end of the line. And in just a minute, on the left-hand side, you'll get another great view of the entire train. inside of the 3-story building home to our show. Ventriloquist and funny man Richard Bell performing with jokes and funny stuff at 3 and 4 o'clock. Also coming up at 3 o'clock and the main stage at the Village Green Mustard's Retreat. They've been around for a long time. Mustard's Retreat played when I was in college in the 90s. Mustard's Retreat, the featured act on the main stage at 3 o'clock. And speaking of music, if you like the music we played on the train today, most of the songs we played on the train were by Mr. Neil Woodward, who is also performing in the village today. Most of the songs we played on the train ride today came from Neil Woodward's CD, Way Up the Rail. And Neil is in the village and he'll be performing today at 5 o'clock. On behalf of Genesee County Parks and Recreation and all of us on the train crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us today aboard the Huckleberry Railroad. Please remain in your seat and in your car for just another moment until we come to a complete stop. Also, folks, at the Genesee Bell, prohibition's been repealed here at Crossroads Village. The Genesee Bell is docked, but they are